And now we go into our review of Green Lantern New Dawn.
And
Which
as
one of you
always,
guys like to start it out?
Timothy has the credits.
Yeah, so Green
Tell us
Lantern.
about our friends, Tim.
Yes, our newfound friends that want to talk to us all the time because they love us.
Green Lantern New Dawn storyline would be Green Lantern issues 51 through 54. And the credits for those 4 issues are as follows. Writing goes to Ron Mars. We did a one-shot with him. Check it out. Artwork goes to Daryl Banks. We did a one-shot with him and full interview. Check that out. Inks go to Romeo Tanghall. Colors to Steve Matson. Letters to Albert de Guzman.
Not Dukeshire.
No, not the legendary Ed Dukeshire.
I keep saying that until it runs out of funny.
Assists belong to Eddie Berganza, and that's 51 through 54.
Tim, you want to take it off and start it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So,
I've read it like 7 times, so
Sonny,
I know
you're better at going over the whole story than I am, but
we give Spark Notes.
Yeah. Cliff Notes, Sonny. I'm going into class and I need to know New Dawn 51 through 54. Quick.
Going through the window.
But yeah,
no, I could tell it all to you in one phrase. Get in the fridge.
I love how it starts out with Kyle being thrown through that window, and he's like, yeah, I didn't want it to go this way, but this is how it went. And he is getting the snot kicked out of him by Ohm. OHM, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ohm, yeah, some guy that found a Iron Man level suit and is connecting to the power grid in Los Angeles. He's in the middle of a Rodeo Drive, however you want to call it, in Beverly Hills.
Rodeo.
And he is causing all kinds of chaos. And then it kind of goes back to Kyle hanging out with his girlfriend, who was his girlfriend. That's not his girlfriend currently, but they end up getting back together through the course of the 4 issues.
But why, Tim?
Because he can't keep a job. He works as a freelance comic book artist, and he is not stable, and she wants stability with her Peter Parker photography that she does for the LA Examiner tabloid magazine. And so anyways, it goes on, and he ends up showing her that he has this ring. He's not quite exactly sure how or why he was chosen, but he was chosen nonetheless. And then he goes to fight Ohm, kind of gets the crap kicked out of him, and then eventually ends up turning it around, using his willpower to cut Ohm out of the suit. And that's pretty much it for 51. And then it moves on where he and his girlfriend are working together. He has convinced her, she has agreed, and they're working together to show that he can be stable, not only as Green Lantern, but in her life as well. And it works like that. But during this whole process, while they're testing out the ring's limits and taking publicity shots and photographs of him, Mongol is in the process of escaping where he's at after the destruction of Coast City, and he gets out and wants to kill Superman and Green Lantern, but he's going to start with Green Lantern first. Finds Kyle, they're on a beach somewhere, and gives Kyle the business, and Kyle starts to try and do different things, and I love the different constructs that he created here. And it was even mentioned, he was talking to his girlfriend, and he's like, should I just make a green boxing glove? And she's like, no, absolutely not.
Don't do that.
Don't do that at all. But yeah, in the middle of the Mongol fight, like he's doing the best he can, and he knows he's out of his league. And then Superman shows up, and the two end up working together. And I really loved the interaction between the two, because while Kyle's girlfriend's telling him, you know, this is above you. This is way above who you are. You don't need to be in the middle of that. And he's like, no, I'm going in there, and I'm not going to let Superman deal with this by himself. And it was awesome. It was really cool. You got to see long flowing locks Superman fight Mongol, and it was awesome. And then you move on to 53, and that is where Major Force, this guy, comes in.
Let's start calling him the Violator.
He, during the prison break for Mongol, which was unreal. Major Force is one of the villains that ends up escaping too. He is hired by some nefarious government agency to get the power ring from Green Lantern in one way, shape, or form. And he does he doesn't do that, but that is what he is put to task to do. And yeah, it's sad, it's unfortunate, and it hurt my feelings, and I hate him, and I want to
The
find
big stupid face.
he's big
It's
dumb
right behind you right now.
Well, I better not turn around, because if I do, I'm going to do the same thing that Green Lantern did to him and push him through a wall. But yeah, Major Force is a villain. Was a wonderful choice. It was completely out of left field. This is a Captain Atom level villain here, and they threw him up against a brand new, days old Green Lantern. And what took place, guys, I mean, we've talked about it a million times, person in the fridge, but you have to read it to understand it.
Don't be Tim.
And no, don't be me. You have to read this, and it is unbelievable. And then the fight that takes place afterward, holy smokes. So that's about all I'm going to give you guys. I mean, if you haven't read this, you need to go read it. If you have read it, go back and read it again. And I'll tell you why. This reads to me like an episodic primetime television show.
Right.
Like it read exactly like that. Each issue was self-contained, but left you with enough of a cliffhanger to pick up next month's issue. And man, oh man, I am glad that I got to read it back to back instead of having to wait a month to get the next one. It was very in-depth, like I just said, with each issue, never missing a beat. There was so much information, both in visuals and in script, that I'm going to have to go and read it again just to not only experience it one more time, but to soak it all in.
It's one of those comics that if you read it, like if you're one of those people, I could read a comic in 15 minutes. You're not experiencing the full experience of this issue.
You have to take your time with this. I read it pretty fast, but I felt that pace while I was reading it fit really well with how the story was flowing, because I mean, things were moving right along, and it didn't give me a chance to slow down, because I was like, no, I've got to read the next one. I have to go to the bathroom. I can wait 15 minutes to read 26 pages. I'm going to finish this. But the creative team all around is amazing. Again, with Ron Mar's script and Banks' artwork, and the creative ring constructs were incredibly enjoyable, especially with Slam Track. The team up with Superman was awesome, and I was rooting for Kyle the entire time. And it needs to be said, and I think Daryl even said this both in the one shot and the interview, that Kyle was made to be a very relatable character, and he was. I could relate to him way more than I could Superman or Hal Jordan or Bruce Wayne. And the last thing, the villains in their own in Major Force. Major Force is definitely something I'm going to find more of. So I think it's no surprise what my grade is going to be. The writing and the artwork.
Not as good as Youngblood's?
Oh, dude, this doesn't hold a candle to the monstrosity that Youngblood is. But my writing and artwork grade for this get a solid 10 out of 10. So an overall is a 10 out of 10. This is wonderful origin stories. It's absolutely fantastic how it goes over the course of 4 issues, and the end result will leave you angered, frustrated, heartbroken, and wanting to read more, which is what I'm going to do this weekend.
Nice.
That's my take on it, guys. What do you got?
Well,
Jamie, what do you think?
Since you went into all that detail and basically covered every issue,
I tried to.
The best parts about that book for me, especially like how at one point Kyle was like, "This is cool, but this isn't for me." And then that's when he goes back to the house and sees the note and then sees what happened.
That's not her handwriting.
Yeah, no, that's not her handwriting. And then looks up and he's like, that's because her hand's in the,
surprise for you in the fridge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in there. Don't worry. Knock knock. So like seeing that and then him going to be like, yeah, now this is everything. Now I got now I'm just angry, mad, ready for revenge. Just the fights alone after that. Oh my God.
Did you catch the nod to Marvel 2099 in there with the future Los Angeles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of it being 2099, it was from the year 2088.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're even the subtitle stuff is really good. But more than anything, it's just like I can't. These two books going from Emerald Twilight into New Dawn have to be some of my, well, if not greatest two arcs back to back, especially with this lead in with Kyle. Like the whole time he's just trying to figure out if he can be a hero. And then it took a push for him to find out he could be a hero.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't think that still. And by the end of this, he still doesn't think that he's good enough. But he still says he's going to try.
And the first major villain he went against was Mongol.
Yes.
That's unreal.
Yeah. Tore it up. But I mean, he got torn up too a few times. But you know what I mean. No, it was overall, it's a great read. I love it. I recommended it to Sonny. Yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't. It's one that you're going to start and not want to stop until you finish it. Mine is a 10 out of 10 regardless. I've loved this since the day I read it. And that was more than, I don't even know how old I am, 15 years ago.
Well, Jamie, I can see why, man, because like I was telling you earlier, I don't remember if I had read this back when it came out or not.
I remember.
I knew of it, but just reading it now, amazing.
Right.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah. So you guys did cover a lot. So for me, just quickly, I said 4 issues. The first one with Ohm, I felt was a little bit slower. I was like, I was expecting a little more. And then I said the next one, Mongol, Superman, like I said, amazing fights, and get Major Force, and we get the refrigerator. That's why I'm wearing my William the Fridge Perry jersey on, because of the refrigerator. And
ironic.
The next one, the final one, then of the story arc. It was I don't want to give it away for those of you who haven't read it, but it was the return of a major character, and it was a surprise for me because I knew kind of a lot. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is where the refrigerator thing happens, but the ending, there was a surprise comeback, and I was like, oh wow, that was a nice one. I was really glad with that, and the whole thing, like I said, it's an incredible story, and it really made you. I knew Kyle Rayner, I liked the character before, but this like really made me like, okay, I'm rooting for this character. I want to read more and see what else happens to Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern, and even like you said, him Major Force. Now he's a villain that I'll definitely remember, and this definitely put him in another level.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, after that, we never hear of Major Force that much again.
That's so unfortunate.
So he's got that one moment, but it's still one thing I did, as bad as horrible as it was the moment. What I liked about it was that it was taking a risk. It really put the story at another level. Like you said, still referenced to this day. And even I saw an article not too long ago saying, the women in the refrigerator, things like that. And it goes back to this story, Green Lantern New Dawn.
Well, the level of violence in here, Sonny, was unlike what you saw out of most major DC titles, even Marvel titles at that time. And what Daryl was talking about before about pushing the edge, this did it. Yeah. This was really there.
Yeah, it truly did. Like, and that for me is a lot of points up. Like the great action, the great storytelling, the great artwork, for everything. The only thing was, like I said, the first issue felt a little slow, but the other issues just, I was like, this is an incredible story. And like I said, I do recommend it. I'm so glad that I got into this story that I'm like, let me pick it for an episode. So this was my first time reading it before reviewing it. And I give actually the lowest rating. I give Green Lantern New Dawn 9.7.
Oh.
It is an awesome read.
A horrible person you are.
So I'm a very tough critic. What can I say?
So what's the criticism you have for
issue it, 1 being slow?
I would say this the issue 51 went home. I was like, okay, this is not bad. But I was like, okay, it's fine. But I'm not like so into like the other issues.
Gotcha.
I was like, amazing, incredible. Okay. I'm super into it. So that's like, okay, it's a little bit not 10 out of 10 for it, but I said 9.7. I think it's an amazing story.
Amazing.
Oh,
Cool.
great.
So Jamie's obvious a 10 out of 10. Mine's a 10 out of 10. Sonny, you are a 9.7. I think those are fantastic grades all around.
I love the fact that Sonny's like, this is the first time I've ever seen Sonny go 9.7 and like struggle to get it out. He wants to say that's a 10 and then he 9.7.
Oh,
Gonna be
wow.
the tough critic today.
Don't worry, I'll round it up for you to 10.
I won't argue.
See, 10 out of 10s all the way around.
Wow. Yep, there we go. Fantastic. The world is right again.
All good. Green Lantern New Dawn is in the books.